feel as though already this map pool selection favours NaVi almost from the get-go. They already have the T side as well.
Yeah, and they look to push in towards B here. The pistol round coming in from NaVi. They're going to get into that side nice and quickly. Curve jumping around. There's Edward and his pistol presence being felt almost immediately, taking down Danger Man. Nico and next, but Seized will also double up there. Speedy and Dennis going down, and Edward picks up a tray. So before we even get a chance to sit down and get ourselves involved in this game, the big name pistol player Edward has put forth a fantastic effort there, picking up a triple, as I said, and starting off NaVi in a nice way.
It's an impressive beard and an impressive pistol from the man. Picking up the tray, as you said, and also Seized, supporting him quite well in the drop room, picking up both frags there. So already a dominating performance in the pistol rounds from NaVi, but now they have bought into this round. They do have some SMGs. I'd expect those guys to go in first as fodder. Looking at Mousesports, though, they do have those trademarked Eagles. Yeah,
as you said, those trademarked Eagles, especially in the hands of Nico. He's been so deadly with that weapon as Zeus almost pushes up towards that A-Halls area, and Dennis is going to be waiting eagerly, but that Molotov will find its mark pretty well and force out one of the CTs from that Goblin area, and now Zeus manages to find the first one, runs in, gets the second, and possibly will get the third as he pressures down next. He does, in fact, get that one, so clean and easy here from NaVi, but I guess the takeaway from this one is they're willing to push the pace against this Mousesports team.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they were taking what we'd normally expect to be a much slower approach, but of course they were straight into those A-Halls. Very cautious still in the way that they handle things, but that trading from NaVi just so strong, and Mousesports really with no reply so far, but they have opted to just buy some P250s there on Dennis and Nex and maintaining their weapons from the last round there, NaVi.
Yeah, I think the standout for their last round for me, as Edward gets one before getting taken down by Nex. Pretty simple eco round coming in here for NaVi. They're just all over this B bomb slide already, just condensing those CTs down. Although Dennis and Nico pick up Zeus and Guardian before Seized doubles up, and now this should just sort of peter its way towards conclusion as the final CT has been spotted in the drop room area, and Seized will end up with a triple as well. So just I think the difference was the grenades in the previous rounds, but we look into the first gun round, and Guardian's already got that AWP up.
Yeah, probably not as clean as they would have wanted in that round, but we did see a stack from Mouse, funnily enough, 4 players funneled onto that B site, and just a little bit of difficulty in navigating those pistols. I think Flamey nearly took out his teammate there, so very, very dire situation averted, but they come into this gun round. More importantly, no AWP on Chris J. They've just opted for rifles.
Yeah, they're going to struggle to afford that one early on, and he's definitely decided that the best course of action for him is to make sure he has those grenades and utilities up there instead of the dope scope onto Chris J, who will be battling Guardian to the best of his ability all map long, but Guardian, of course, does have that AWP in hand, and NaVi, as we're accustomed to seeing, slowly and methodically working their way throughout the map. Dennis will open up before Zeus trades onto the close Mousesports player, and now Guardian opens up onto Chris J, so all of a sudden, this is opening up here for NaVi.
That's right, that shotgun AWPing straight in. More importantly, though, trading his teammates quite well, and this is a characteristic of NaVi, is that they do trade quite well. That's probably one of the finer points of their gameplay, is that they position themselves so well. As you can see on the overhead there, that they do group themselves up quite nicely, but they're making their way back towards that B site. In fact, Flamey picks up the frag out, finds Nico, and now just Speedy to try and defend against what is 4 incoming terrorists, and, well, momentarily you would expect those smokes to come up, and they will hit that bomb site. He does actually take down Zeus, so that bomb has fallen, and that will momentarily delay things and allow his teammate to try and get across from A. He does pick up the second frag as well, Deceased, not able to pick up the third, and now Nex is almost in another world as he tries to make his way back through to the B bomb site. That bomb hasn't gone up yet, but they're just looking to see whether or not, in that time that has elapsed, he has, whether or not he's made his way across. Guardian, though, finishing it off in style, bread and butter AWP shot. NaVi racing away to a 4-zip lead.
Yeah, they have raced away, but that round was just all about NaVi, wasn't it? The entry pick there by Guardian to open up the round, then the follow-up kill from Guardian late in the round with a slow, methodical approach to taking the map in between, and that, for me, spells NaVi CS over and over again, and they won't look to change much as they go up 4-0 on the scoreboard. Now, once again, these trademarked Eagles, as you so eloquently put it last eco round, which was just 2 rounds ago. Coming out here for Mousesports, 4 of those deagles on hand. 3 of those deagles on hand, and 5.7 and a P250 will accompany them.
That's right, but look at this boost from Speedy. He's actually got himself into the drop room, though. Flamey, aware of that possibility, takes him down quite quickly, and they're just starting to try and wrestle back control of the drop room, harass it, just try and split those CT defenses. But again, Zeus just making his way through those A-holes. This has been trademarked so far of NaVi, that they've tried to wrestle back control. But in the meantime, Nico and Nex have actually picked up 2 pistol frags and are just swinging that pendulum slightly back in favour of the counter-terrorists, but NaVi are grouping up towards the B site here.
Yeah, and they've made a fantastic read. Nico will have it all to do here as he just faces his opponent with a deagle at his Guardian, and he takes him down. So the pressure on NaVi now to get into this B bomb site and face the music as Nico picks up a second deagle headshot in a row, and the third for the round. He's still on 100 HP and refuses to reload that deagle. He's confident, he's keen, he's lining up the shot, and he gets taken down pretty low there by Edward, who hits that 90-degree flick headshot pretty well there onto Chris J and sets up a 2 versus 1. Make that a 1 versus 1, and all of a sudden, Edward's in prime position to take this one out for NaVi and push it along to 5-0.
That deagle from Nico is an absolute threat here, but of course, he has to try and find Nex Edward. He does manage to do so, finding him quite quickly and taking that 3 versus 1, averting danger for NaVi. They do take their 5th round now, but not a bad deco at all from Mousesports.
You'd be absolutely spewing if you were Chris J in that situation. You've got the flank perfectly timed, Edward focusing on another one of your teammates, and then he hits that beautiful flick shot and nails the trailing player.
The one-tap dirt nap.
The one-tap dirt nap. He's going to be well rested, that's for sure, Chris J. And I'm not sure if this is on purpose or not, but he's managed to pick up that auto sniper with Nico picking up the AWP, Jim. A bit of a change up there.
Well, that's right. I mean, we've seen Nico pick up the AWP before, but I just feel as though sometimes it's a bit of a balance. He's too focused at times just on getting that frag, but he does make it work, Guardian, picking up Nico despite being flashed. And NaVi have really opened up this B bomb site like a can of sardines, and they're going to continue to push the issue. Dennis and Chris J are completely out of it at the other side. In fact, Chris J has a heavy investment here in that CT auto sniper, or affectionately called the Dak here in Australia. Zeus, though, does take it down, so $5,000 plus armor down the drain. Dennis, though, just has to fight for his life here. Try and save that gun, but you get the impression, though, and rightly so, Mousesports actually take that tactical timeout. Dennis is staying alive for the moment, but you feel as though it's just a matter of time before they find him Harrison Ford fugitive style.
I was going to say, would you say that he's being menacing? Would you say he's taken the role on of Dennis the Menace?
Well, I think at the moment it's Dennis the Menaced.
Menaced as he goes down, and Seized will finish him off and end that round. It's 6-0 for NaVi, and it looks as though the tactical timeout has come in just in time from Nico, but look at the scoreboard there, Jim. Such a disparity between the two teams. Chris J not even off the mark yet, and even Nico himself has 4 kills and picked up those 3 deagles in 1 round. So, you know, not a lot on the scoreboard there for Mousesports just yet.
Yeah, you just get the impression, though, Chris J tried to make things happen that last round. We spoke about the AWP matchup, the Chris J up against Guardian. It's like apples and oranges at the moment between those two. There's an absolute world of difference. Chris J just really struggling to get himself involved. NaVi's Guardian, though, is really on point, as you would expect.
Well, that's what you do expect, as you said, from the #2 player in the world in 2015. He's known for his high level of impact with that AWP, and he certainly has delivered so far. He's only got those 3 kills, but all 3 have been with that AWP. And he's been very effective in not only opening up the round for NaVi, but also late round, I should say, trading out effectively. And for me, Jim, where does Mousesports go from here?
Well, at the moment, they're finding themselves dying so quickly in the round that it's sort of hard to assess that, assess their mistakes. Essentially, what they need to do is just slow NaVi down a little bit, buy some utility, get some utility, smoke up those choke points, because NaVi are getting themselves into it a little bit too freely. And what NaVi are doing quite well is grouping up and trading. And without that utility, it's very, very difficult for Mousesports to stem that.
I completely agree. The only problem I see with implementing that strategy, and by the looks of things, they're going to have to do it at some point. They're going to have to stem the flow of this aggression from NaVi at some point. But the slower that you take the round, the difficulty with playing such a great team like NaVi is that you actually play to their strengths by slowing it down. You actually gift them the opportunity to run and execute heavy T side, which is, of course, as we all know, is their strength. So for me, it's going to be, you know, what can Mousesports do to really shake, rattle, and roll this NaVi cage?
That's right. At the moment, they've just opted for some pistols here in a light buy. Nico and Nex, though, the two trademark Deagle players with that weapon. Heavy investment, but you know that they are quite dangerous with it, as Dennis actually gets tagged down, forced to retreat back up those danger stairs, leaving his teammate Chris J to contend with Guardian and Zeus as they make their way through the underpass. So Nex is obviously making his way back across. Chris J not able to find the frag there, and Dennis is actually able to find a trade there onto Guardian, so the AWP does fall, but once again, NaVi just showing that they're positioning themselves so well and working together in groups.
Yeah, Zeus basically taking on the role of babysitter there for Guardian, who unfortunately was flanked, but the trade came in straight away from Zeus, so he's done a fantastic job actually all game long of putting pressure on that A-Hall side of the map, Jim.
That's right, and as we said, they're setting themselves up so well for the trades that it's making it really hard for Mouse, particularly now that they're actually on an eco, to get a look into these rounds, as that Molotov comes out, just forces Nex back into a more passive position. But NaVi just content to take things slowly as Nico makes his mark on the round again. Spitty knows that someone is around and should catch, and he does catch Edward off guard there, but they are making their way up towards his A site. Zeus does know that there is someone in the stables, and of course taken down quite quickly. And just Nico to contend with, but he's got an AK now.
Yeah, Nico will be stuck in this 2 versus 1, but he sees the first and the second, and the best player on Mousesports stepping up to the mark there and making it count when required. That was the first real opportunity we've seen from him to make a play, and he's taken it with both hands, picked up both of those kills. Now, Mousesports finally on the board, but this is such a dangerous period of the map for Mousesports. If they don't win this round, then as you can see, the investment coming here from Chris J once again, you know, it's going to be problematic for them moving forward with their money.
Yeah, and I initially thought that auto sniper was a misbuy in those initial rounds. It's clear that he's gone for it again, so this is obviously a tactical play for them, and it's very, very precariously positioned here in the underpass. Does actually take down Flamey quite early on, so Flamey does go down at the hands of that heavy investment from Chris J, so at least he's got some sort of reward from it here, as now we see NaVi just slow down and take this characteristic A-Hall's control.
I think that Mousesports have found a really good balance there between aggression and playing passively as Guardian finds Chris J with that AWP. They pushed forward early and now have sort of reset back into more of a default style, which you're saying would be effective and will potentially be effective. There's only so much you can do against NaVi, who are the 2nd or 3rd best team in the world on any given day. So it's very difficult to keep them under control, but Mousesports at the moment putting their best foot forward and just trying to make this work as Dennis finds Edward just crawling through that mid area, and he's up on that high boost near the tree, and Mousesports are just waiting and wondering where the attack's going to come from, but Guardian and Zeus will open up the 1-2 punch. Nex and Dennis going down, and now Speedy's found his way to that window, but the smoke and flash will keep him away, but not long enough as he takes down Zeus.
That's right, and now it's all to do for Guardian and C's, but as you can see, they've got to collect that bomb, and with 30 seconds left, they don't really have the time to double back through towards B. They need to commit to this A bomb site, but more importantly, Guardian has that AWP on his self. And as that bomb plant will come in, Guardian will just reposition himself around. So the retake to come here from Mousesports, Speedy and Nico. They don't have any utility per se. They're only kit going on Speedy, so they can take their time a little bit, but really cut it into any prolonged battle. Seized finds that first frag, and now all to do for Speedy. And they know his position now, so he is sitting there with his hands tied and is just playing a dangerous game with Seized. Seized playing it quite well. Just allowing Guardian to support him and takes the final frag there. It all seemed pedestrian, and this is where Mousesports run into trouble. As you can see, the only person with any form of money is Nico as a result of taking out that AK and winning that round. Yeah,
he's on 7 kills, which is not by far the best on his team, but certainly he's leading the way, and just that 1 star in the 1 round that Mousesports have managed to pick up. So it's all one-way traffic here for NaVi. And this matchup nightmare is kicked into full swing for Mousesports, just unable to get any real consistency going throughout the round as Chris J tries to make something happen, but Edward will be quite responsive to that fact and shoot him in the head quite quickly. Dennis also being taken down by Edward, and now, once again, we find ourselves in the 5 versus 3 in the NaVi's favour.
That's right, the pain train is just rolling through at the moment. Edward just considering... well, he's not considering stopping at all as he makes his way in towards the A bomb site, and as you can see, they've already wrestled control back from the terrorist. Flamey just taking control of that vent room there. Nex is very, very close to his opposition as Flamey just steps on that flash, takes the player down, and now just Speedy to contend with. He has, well, little to no hope in this round of winning it, but if he can get himself a frag here and potentially steal himself away a gun, he will do a little bit for his team to ease that economic burden as he does take one down. But of course, Zeus, again, with those characteristic NaVi trades.
Yeah, you can see how quickly, once the NaVi players know the location of their enemy, you can see how quickly they swarm together, and from good angles too. It's not just all one-dimensional play here from NaVi. They're mixing up their pace within the round very nicely, giving Guardian different looks, different options, making sure Mousesports are constantly left guessing where the powerful AWP attack is going to come from. But at the moment, you can see him just settling down into mid and picking that A-hall corridor, where once again Mousesports have decided to set up shop and I guess just wait for the incoming push that will eventually come through, which has been consistent every round.
Well, if there's one positive from the game so far, it's that Mousesports are getting a lot of practice with Deagles because their money is constantly being pressured here by NaVi, and they're controlling the match so well as Nico finds another frag. But the problem at the moment with all the frags that are coming his way is they're very, very low impact. A lot of these frags are not really doing a lot for his team, other than the round where he won with that eco frag. So Nex gets forced out of his hidey hole. In fact, Edward catches him and burns him to the ground as now Speedy and Nico does have an AK, but of course is definitely there at the other side as he does actually find a frag onto Flamey, so does do himself a world of good so far, but it looks to be going for this, and they're going to put some pressure on NaVi here.
Yeah, it's going to have to be Nico finding another miraculous couple of headshots, but Edward stops that in its tracks almost immediately. Nico goes down, and Speedy will skulk away into the corridors of Cbble and try and hold on to that AK for just a few more moments so he can start the next round with that one. But for me, Jim, it's all about NaVi at the moment, and when they finally decide to hit that switch and decide to hit a bomb site, it's crisp, it's clean, it's fluent, it's together, and it's just basically completely overpowering any holds that Mousesports have in store.
It's brutal. It's suffocating. It's essentially what they're doing to Mousesports is they're collapsing and taking that A hold and forcing them back into the site. If they're not trading them out and coming out with the upper hand, the A-halls, they're forcing Mousesports to play from the site. And what that does essentially is it limits the amount of information that they have. It allows them freedom to work between the two sites. And without that information, the CTs are struggling, which is exactly what is happening right now to Mousesports. So they need to find a way to get themselves back into it. But at the moment, this is the gun round. They've run with a double AWP setup, so Nico and Chris J opting for the AWP.
Yeah, but Guardian was once again switched up his angles and gone to the drop room with that AWP, and one of the features of NaVi's play so far on this map has been their control of drop room. It basically allows you to cut the map in half if you have control of that room, and the ability to manipulate it. So they've done a great job of continuously pressuring that side of the map as once again Flamey opens up there through the drop room, and now he'll be operating into the middle connector of the map, and you can see how difficult this is now for Mousesports, being completely sectioned off from one another.
That's right, they've split the defenses entirely now and have their pick of the sites. As you can see on the overlay, that bomb is just going to make its way back towards the A site as Flamey gets caught reloading in the open, so he'll be ruining his chances there in that round, but Seized is in great position here to find Chris J. Chris J actually has that AWP, so potential disaster here for Mousesports as he has actually opted to smoke him off as that bomb will make its way in towards the A site. Does hear him through the smoke and does find that frag quite quickly there. Speedy gets traded out as well, and already they have control of the A bomb site. Next, though, is left helpless here in the drop room as he's always scared of that ever-present lurk.
Yeah, and I guess it's hard to understand how Mousesports are going to get back in this game because they've already taken their tactical timeout. So there's nothing left to discuss. It's basically what can we do from here to stop this brutal aggression from NaVi. And to be honest, I don't think Mousesports are equipped to deal with it at the moment because NaVi just look fantastic. And as I said, once they decide what direction they actually want to go, the teamwork is so fantastic, they're just shutting Mousesports out of the game. And it's no one in particular, other than Guardian with that AWP, who's obviously been impressive, and he'll always be impressive with that gun as Nex finds Edward and tries to hold on to his M4, which he could very well do as he baits out that shot from Guardian. He will take him down. And Nex saves that rifle for one more round, but Mousesports here running out of time and running out of options.
Running out of money too, I think that's another important one. They have dropped a gun out onto Chris J, and they will force their way into this round. The problem is, though, that as a result, they are going to lack a lot of utility. And that is a key component in trying to stem the aggression from NaVi.
Yeah, well, they've actually, in the spirit of doing that, they've actually gone for a FAMAS and a UMP buy to make sure that they've at least got a smoke on each player and an extra flame grenade there for Nico.
I like this. This is much better. But, of course, those weapons aren't optimal.
Yeah, of course, NaVi, one of those teams that can grind out rounds and decide at the very last moment that they're going to hit a particular bomb site. And when you play teams like that, I guess even the fact that you have a FAMAS and have a UMP is detrimental, because once they hear those weapons shoot, they're going to come for you. They know they have the power advantage, and they will find you, NaVi. And at the moment, they're just pretty content on setting up towards the B side of things this time, but you can see how much control they still have. Those two players from Mousesports who are in the middle of the map just refusing to push out, knowing that the lurk is going to be there from NaVi, and they just have consistent map pressure across the board.
That's right. I mean, again, they have absolutely no information as to what NaVi are doing, and NaVi are just setting themselves up so well. They have freedom between the bomb sites. Still 44 seconds left on the clock, and they're going to try and investigate their way onto A. In fact, as he turns around, Mouse Dennis does actually find Zeus with that frag, so timing just getting the better of them there. So they will make their way towards A bomb site, and 30 seconds left remaining. They're going to make their way through the A halls and try and pressure A and lock these CTs out of the site. Yeah,
this is the first time I've actually liked the look of a round for Mousesports. They've managed to collapse far enough in here that they have a chance of winning this one, but Seized will find Dennis, and now Nex will pick up one kill before he gets a second one, and now Chris J chimes in to Edward, and Guardian left all by himself, fending behind that thin layer of wooden fence, but he will not only escape, but he'll manage to hold on to this AWP. So craziness there from Mousesports, but of course they couldn't afford to lose their guns and push on him.
No, that's exactly right. And I mean, the difference for me was the fact that they opted for utility. They were actually able to slow down NaVi in the latter stages of their round. So they, I guess, bided their time a little bit and expended that utility, and NaVi were just caught out a little bit. So again, opting for a lot of fast B aggression here, NaVi.
Yeah, and they've actually switched up the pace really well here. You can see Flamey's already through that drop room once again, with Edward opening up onto Speedy too. Flamey's claimed a victim from that drop room, Dennis going down, and now it looks as though the B bomb site's falling like dominoes. Nex will do his best to try and hold on. He gets Flamey, but Seized is there with the instant trade, and now Chris J, within the space of 30 seconds, is forced to give it all up and go try and save that AWP for a brighter, sunnier new round coming up.
Well, that's right. He has an AWP and a Dream, but of course dreams are free. The AWPs cost $4,750. He needs to save it and take it into the next round, but I like that from NaVi. The switch of pace, knowing that exactly the style of game that Mousesports were playing, expending a utility late in the round. They opted to change the pace there and caught them completely off guard in that bomb site. Entries flying left, right, and center, drop room, B platform, you name it. They were dropping like flies across the board.
Yeah, and that's, I guess, the power of having such a deep strategy pool. If you're NaVi, the longevity of the team, actually, this is a good moment to perhaps reflect on where they've come, because Flamey was their pickup following their spectacular failure at Katowice last year in 2015.
Rewind 12 months.
So rewind 12 months, Flamey is not in this team, and they're not in a position to even remotely contend, getting knocked out of this tournament nice and early. But you look a full 12 months ahead and what you could do with that time, and now they're one of the best teams in the world.
Well, they've been able to utilize Starex's strategic mind, and for me, that's been the difference. They've actually brought in a stronger fragger, and Starex is able to effectively lead these guys in-game from out of game.
Yeah, definitely. They were the first top-tier team to adopt this style. Of course, NIP following suit with Threat very recently, and we've seen them in action earlier on this evening. But it will be Flamey at the moment opening that one up for NaVi, and now he'll double up onto Speedy. But the push here from Mousesports, oh so predictable. Edward just lying in wait in the middle of the map, and he will find a second, but not before the Deagle of Nex says, I don't think so, Edward. I'm actually just going to mosey on through this corridor. There's nothing you can do about it, and there's an AK down at mid. It just depends if Nex wants to go retrieve that one.
That's right, and of course Dennis gets found out by Flamey there. Next, just doing the dance, doing a little bit of a battle there, trying to tag Flamey down as, well, Flamey just whips out his pistol and finishes him then and there, but NaVi have just steamrolled Mousesports on T-side Cbble, and to be expected. I mean, it's a rough drop to try and take City side on Cbble as it is against a tier 1 team, let alone NaVi, who would almost consider themselves Cbble specialists.
Absolutely, and look at the damage that Flamey's putting out. He's averaging over 130 damage per round, so that's 1.3 kills at, again, 50% headshot rate. So what a spectacularly efficient player, and he actually won the most kills the most clutches, but we'll get back to that in a second as Nico pushes the drop room and gets the first one onto C's before going down to Zeus. I was going to say that Flamey won the second most clutches in the whole of 2015. So you know he's clutch, but at the moment there's nothing more clutch than the German Deagle working to its maximum efficiency. Next, picking up a tray with those headshots in the end, and he will finish the half with 12-12 and 2 of those stars to go along with a pretty sorry-looking scoreboard there for Mousesports, but of course, Cbble can be a very T-sided map, and to say that the pistol round means a lot to Mousesports is probably the understatement of the tournament.
Bullied, absolutely bullied that entire half. What NaVi did really well was bully the extremities of the map, whether you see all them taking control of A-halls or putting pressure on the B platform or the drop room or Skyfall. But essentially, they were far superior at doing so and really limited the information that Mousesports could have. And they were always on the back foot, Mousesports. They were always a man down. And you get the feeling if they were ever to win this matchup, it would be in a game that they would have had to have led from the front.
I completely agree with that. And also, perhaps the in-game leader for Mousesports, Nico, feeling the pressure a bit, having to carry so much of the load in terms of fragging, but also having to outthink so many players on the NaVi, I should say, roster. Now, it will be a B push coming in here from Mousesports, but it looks as though it's pretty well predicted here. Flamey just sitting on that platform, fighting at will, trying to get an opening kill here, but it's just like a shooting gallery in the corridors of B, and it will be Speedy opening up at Edward, and then next picking up Flamey. So that's a great outcome there for Mousesports, and they'll settle back into this 4 versus 3 and probably fall back towards A, which has been left completely vacant by NaVi.
Well, I mean, Nico sitting on 1 HP. If a stray decoy grenade happens to fall his way, he's going to blow over. But they're going to make their way back towards this A bomb site. Smartly so. They do have the man advantage, and as you can see, NaVi have actually opted to try and stack one site here. So not a bad option from them, but Zeus should soon have information that they're going to hit this A bomb site, and that is exactly so. They are starting to streak onto it. Yeah,
they do finally find their way onto A. It's a little bit too late for my liking, but it doesn't matter what I like. Dennis says, you know what, I like the look of this headshot, picks up Zeus, and now C's will try and roll his way through mid before being found out by Nex, and now it's all left up to Guardian, the clutch AWP player, of course, having no access to a sniper rifle on pistol round. Those of you who are tuning into CSGO for the first couple of times and not really understanding what the game's all about. Each half does start with pistols, and the game's run by the own internal economy of the game, and you have to buy weapons at the start of each round. So obviously he's not able to afford that sniper in the first round of the half, but great start for Mousesports there, Jim, and that's exactly what they needed.
That's exactly what they needed. Not so just in terms of rounds, but also in terms of confidence as well. But we've seen NaVi have actually opted to try and stack this B bomb site with some grenades in hand. They've got the man boosted up on the tree there. So I believe it's Edward that's tasked with getting all the information, and on his word go, as soon as he starts shooting, I'd imagine they'd use the cover to try and grenade their opponents. But just Mousesports taking their time, and deservedly so. They're very, very cautious as NaVi have bought into this round. So
yeah, the difference, I guess, for me between the Mousesports round here and NaVi's round is there's no pressure on A-halls at all here from Mousesports. They've got no idea what's going on in that part of the map, and it's really restricted their speed of movement as Nico eventually finds Edward there, but you can see how long it's taken them to get through that part of the map, and they're still working their way through. So if Nico goes down, but look at Flamey's position here. He's so close to mid, and he could play a crucial part in this one. This is all just taking a bit too long to get into A. NaVi have read that rotate and coming on all the way back.
That's right, but they're going to make the trades work here as Nico actually finds a frag. Zeus is in a great position, though, to potentially go ham with that 5-7. Doesn't manage to do so. Next takes him out quite quickly, and, well, NaVi are forced to back off a little bit. They want to take those pistols and those armor and take them and save them into the next round. But for me, it was interesting. I mean, the difference between the two teams is it's quite clear in their approach. NaVi, on their eco rounds, were working as a team. They were stacking sites, taking that gamble. Whereas on their eco rounds, Mousesports were very much individualistic. They played at individual positions, not really trying to work in pairs per se, and that's the difference between the two teams for me and their approach so far.
And I guess that's what we talked about at the start of this matchup, where similarly, they were both defensive-minded teams early on in the round, but then as they branched out towards the eventual outcome, one team being Mousesports had a more individual approach, NaVi obviously having a more team-based and execute-heavy approach. We didn't have to actually see a lot of set executes coming out from NaVi because their early round pressure was so substantial and they got so many kills out of it. They didn't really have to force their hand and show the world what sort of set executes they've got ready, which will suit them nicely at this stage of the tournament.
Well, that's exactly right. I mean, they are going to come into another pistol round as a result of saving those weapons out. So obviously, saving his CZ from last round, and well, another very slow, methodical approach coming out from Mousesports, but deservedly so. I mean, they're not too sure whether or not they are going to stack a site as before, but a different approach now from NaVi. They're split a little bit more between the two sides, not really opting for that early B control as they did last round.
Yeah, it will be a pretty standard round coming in here from NaVi. Seized and Guardian managed to hold on to their pistols from the previous, I guess, force buy. It would have been that round with the pistol and the armor coming out from NaVi, and now they'll just try and full save on this one with the two players remaining with those pistols, but that Molotov not going to hit the mark, and Edward's going to step out and get the first headshot there, but he will be actually able to convert on that frag. I didn't think he was going to catch Dennis all the way down, but he manages to get one there before Chris J trades pretty effectively, and Nico now does spot out the head of Guardian and takes him down, but Seized has swindled his way through and begins the epic clutch that is this 4 versus 1.
That's right. I mean, he's probably going to try and find himself a gun, per se, and that's why he's made his way towards the B halls there, but just a little we do lose Go TV momentarily. But, yeah, I'd imagine the objective there would be to try and find that gun as we do actually jump back into the game. So just apologies for a momentary lag, but Seized, still alive, but trying to get himself an exit frag. He knows the bomb plant's at A, and if he can take a gun into the next round here, he'll do his team's economy a world of good.
Yeah, Mousesports doing a great job here on their T side as well, controlling the pace. I do firmly believe that if you are controlling the pace of the game, you're controlling just a lot more than it would meet the eye, so to speak. It seems as though when you control the pace, you also control a lot more of the map because you're able to dictate when and where things are going down. So Mousesports here doing a fantastic job of consolidating not just that pistol round, but the following save rounds to ensue. And now it will be not just the first gun round, but the first opportunity for Guardian to pull out that AWP on the CT side of things and really try and shake up the Mousesports defaults.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the scoreboard there, he's actually had a really quiet game by his standards. So, I mean, this is where he does start to have his impact on CT side, though. Yeah,
but that is alarming for me that NaVi are 12-6 up and Guardians had next to no impacts. That's, you know, good in one aspect, but not so good in the other.
The Seized actually gets caught out. Nico, so aggressive there, taking it on his own shoulders to open things up at the B site. And already, there's cause for alarm here at the B bomb site. As Nico just makes his way through his windows and is just pressuring, and more importantly, splitting the defenses between the two sites.
Yeah, we spoke about the importance of that drop room area as Zeus waits, wonders when a attack will come his way, and he manages to get the first one before Dennis trades him out, and now Mousesports will have control of the A side of the map, actually complete control of the A side, if they wanted to automatically just push through and try and take that, but it looks as though they're making a read here, and it's going to be a B hit coming out as Nico finds himself in a good position, but Guardian finds him, and now it looks as though Mousesports are in for a bit of trouble here.
Well, they've actually opted to go back through the drop room, so they've changed their focus entirely, but they're still going to go towards this B bomb, so that flash comes out. misses his shot, Guardian, as now a lot of pressure is being applied in this bomb site. He does find one, drop the bomb. Next does go down, and just Speedy and Dennis to contend with here, but does find a second frag as well. So Guardian already having a massive impact on the round. Flamey finding the final frag there, and what looks so promising early on when Nico got himself into the drop room there really went pear-shaped for poor old Mousesports.
Yeah, the trip coming out there for Guardian, and wasn't just the fact that it was a triple, because obviously when you get 3 frags, it's very easy for the rest of your team to come up with the other 2 to win the round. But it was the fashion in which he got them. That was the first round where I've really noticed him take a round and just win it by himself. The movement, the timing, everything was there from Guardian, and that's why he's the second best player in the world.
Well, that's exactly right. He's showing his credentials there and really flexing his muscles, and essentially will need to do so. I mean, they've got to get themselves out of this group. It is a very, very tightly contested group, obviously with Luminosity, Fnatic, and Nip also in the group, as well as Mongols.
Yep.
So it's a very tough group from top to bottom, but they need to make sure that they win these sorts of matchups if they're going to go through and fight it out in the next day's play.
Well, you did definitely say in our pregame that Mousesports aren't going to win this one by coming back from behind. They would have had to have led from the front and have put NaVi away early. It's going to be very difficult for Mousesports to grind this one back, because not to take anything away from Mousesports, but NaVi just don't let teams come back into games like this.
That's exactly right. They really take a stranglehold, and from there on in, they just suffocate the opposition. As Zeus takes down Speedy there, gets himself that $900 Mad Skrilla bonus as a result of getting the shotgun frag, but he's now going to find himself sandwiched there, but he's supported well by Edward, who finds that frag, trades him out, and gets himself back into the site. So now, Mousesports down to 2. Chris J misses his AWP shot there and costs himself dearly as Flamey finds himself a double there. That man is in red-hot form, and that is exactly why he's able to make sure that he closes out rounds so emphatically.
Yeah, and an interesting stat that we've noticed with NaVi is that the team seems to revolve around, of all players, Seized. Flamey does his thing. Guardian, obviously, second best player in the world. One of the premier AWPers in the world, right up there with Kenny S as just basically the best pound-for-pound AWPer on the planet. But also, when Seized has a rating of more than 1.0 in any game, they've only lost 1 out of their last 9 times he's done that. And in this game, you can see he's 14 odd kills for less deaths, so he's well on his way to doing that. And now the action will flow in here. The B hit will come in. Next takes down Flamey before Seized trades onto Chris J. Now this is absolute mayhem. Edward pitching in there with the double onto Speedy and Nico. And Mousesports are reeling here at the pressure coming in from NaVi. Seized manages Dennis, and now Nex has found the head of Edward, and he's left in a 2 versus 1. Can he find a kill? He doesn't quite get that one into Seized. That was a necessary kill, you'd think, there for the Mousesports player, and he's stuck in a 2 versus 1 with a pretty exciting level of gameplay coming out here from NaVi, but they've not managed to boost quite well, and they've fallen back off it.
Well, that would have been the play if they would have got someone into that position. It would have locked him into the B bomb site for sure, but of course now Nex has a lot of time to play with here, and he's going to put pressure on Guardian, but Guardian is up to the task. Shotgun AWPing him close range, and really just asserting himself so far in this matchup. 15-6 to score. Mousesports have to get themselves 9 match points. Try and defend that against one of the premier teams in the world is a very tough ask, but Mouse's monetary situation is not going to allow them to buy optimally into this round. So they're going to try and make it work with some pistols, AKs, and of course a SIG on Chris J. He still likes that scope.
He does like that dope scope, but unfortunately for him, he's had next to no dank bank to finance his addiction to those scopes as Seized takes down Nico.
Maybe he needed a dank shank in there to boost the bank. But of course, Dennis finds the opening frag into the A-holes, and now Mousesports are actually starting to pressure this A-bomb site, but the rotation is there from NaVi. They're ready, waiting with open arms for this bomb site attack.
Yeah, Flamey's going to play such a critical role here in this round, as that grenade will bounce off and absolutely hammer Dennis down to just 15 points of health, but all hope is not lost yet for Mousesports as they're in this 4 versus 4, and they're putting pressure on the middle of the map, and Flamey will get one, Seized will get Speedy. Next will trade on to Guardian. Flamey picks up Dennis. It's all left up to Nex, just in a 1 versus 2 at the moment, and he is absolutely reeling here. It's an almost an untenable situation to be in, Jim. And with 2 players from NaVi and both on 100 points of health, you'd think this map was over in the scorebooks.
Well, you'd assume it would be all pedestrian from here, but I mean, Nex has been a player that's been in form of late and certainly would be capable of producing, but of course not able to do so. Flamey takes him down, ending that match 16-6 the way of NaVi.
Yep.
Absolute carnage there, unfortunately, for Mousesports. And if they wanted to progress in this bracket, they've had some soft targets earlier.